Yo, what is up guys? It is Bumfris, back with a little bit more Entitled Parents. This is going to be another one from our top post series, and I have a feeling you're gonna love this one. Just FYI, I'm thinking of the next episode we do potentially being a pro-revenge or a nuclear revenge, something like that, so quickly let me know what you think in the comments below. But for now, sit back, relax, and get annoyed at some Entitled Parents. So I've definitely lived a crazy life with some crazy friends and enemies, and I've had my fair share of idiots. I live in a medium-sized city, which is about 40,000 people, and much of the area is rural. I was about 9 at the time of the Great Shove. Now, there's a bridge that connects two very popular hiking trails that runs over a wide river. Despite its length and width, the river is only about 15 feet deep at its deepest point. Anyway, the trail is always packed in early summer to late fall since the bridge is the only way to access the other trail without taking a swim in the river. My dad, my brother and I were crossing the bridge to get to the other trail when my dad requested that we stop and take some photos of the mountain view that we had. My brother, who was about 7 at the time, small and skinny, was doing that kid thing where they hoist themselves above a railing with their hands but stay in that position. He was enjoying the views when this absolute whale of a woman, and I mean absolute hunk of lard, maybe 380 to 430 pounds, came waddling up to us. She didn't have a see your manager haircut, but her head was shaved and the stubble of her hair was dyed red. She had one of those baby carriers that you strap to your chest with an infant in it. The entitled mum stopped right behind my brother, uttered, "You're not setting a good example for my daughter," and promptly yoked him off the bridge. I'm sorry for losing my composure for a second, let's continue. In retrospect, she probably just kind of eased him off, but my memory was a bit hazy from that part. Naturally, my dad, me, and everyone else crossing the bridge were in shock. I saw someone immediately dial 911 and my dad began yelling at her. I was just bawling and looking over the edge where I saw my brother had surfaced. The drop was about 25 feet, but there's no way he landed on his feet after he tumbled off. A bunch of people started yelling at him to swim to the shore, but I could see that he was too busy screaming and crying to listen to what they were saying. I turned back to my dad and saw that the lady was matching his level of anger and shouting as loud as he was. All I could hear from the entitled mum were things like, "I didn't want your son to be a bad influence for my daughter. What if she tried to do something like that? I don't care about your effing daughter. Why the hell did you just push my son off a bridge?" my dad said. A squad car pulled up after about 10 minutes and my dad had dashed off to try and find my brother, and a bunch of hikers were yelling at the entitled mum to try and prevent her from running, or I should probably say waddling, away from the scene. The baby was somehow completely calm this whole time. The cops hop out of the car and stride over to the entitled mum. They must have had Karen senses. One of them opens their mouth to say something and the entitled mum turns around and tackles the officer, scratching at his face and screaming like a banshee. The other cop and several other hikers immediately try to pull her off. Not because she was attacking the cop, but because she practically belly flopped on top of him with an effing baby on her chest. As soon as they get her off, she starts running at the cop again. The strap that held the baby must have been broken because someone has scooped her up so that the cops could take action. The second cop immediately draws her gun and puts a bullet through her shoulder. After shrieking so loudly that I thought I was going to go deaf, the whale passed out and the cops took her to an ambulance that was waiting by the squad car. The baby was crying and a paramedic took her from him and carried her away. I was still crying and kept on sobbing until my dad appeared with my soaking wet brother about 25 minutes later. The cops asked us a crap ton of questions and I had to answer most of them since my dad had left to find my brother and I was only 9. That slowed things down a bit, but my brother was fine, just totally shaken. He got diagnosed with PTSD 6 months later. We went home and slowly began to recover. 2 weeks later, we get a letter from the police department saying that the lady had serious undiagnosed mental health issues and most likely saw my brother as a threat to her child rather than her story of him being a bad influence. Despite the surprising results, I still hate her for what she did to my sweet little brother and will never forgive her. This was back in early 2013 and she's still serving a 7-year prison sentence for attempted manslaughter, child endangerment and assault. I also heard she was in rehabilitation sessions, so I hope that she can come to her senses. Thanks for sticking by me for the whole story, folks. I know this is probably horrible, but this entire story, I could not stop myself from laughing. Like there was some real proper laughs in here that I had to cut out because they would have just been straight embarrassing. But seriously, this lady is something else. I know obviously they mentioned the mental health issues at the end and I get that, but seriously, what was going on in my mind throughout this story, it was just astounding. I guess the main thing is, here's hoping she gets the help that she needs and she comes out of prison a better person. So, a pregnant woman tried to take my taxi despite having seen me waiting outside and having heard me make the call. She even said, "Waiting for a cab?" To which I replied, "Yeah," before I got back to my phone app game to pass the time. About 10 minutes pass and my taxi arrives and I head over, but the woman says, "Sorry, but this is my taxi." The driver asks for me by name and the woman says, "That's me." I'm like, there is no way you have my name and call the same cab company. I always call an unpopular taxi company because I'm friends with a few of the drivers and this was one of them. I say, "But I called it and she's already opening the door." The driver literally says, "Hey, so this is her taxi," while pointing to me. The woman looked upset and says, "But I'm pregnant. I really did call this taxi too. And that is really my name. She is trying to steal my taxi." I don't even know this woman and I'm getting really upset because I've worked a long day and I don't need this. The driver and I exchange frustrated looks since he knows me and he knows that I called, and then he says, "Alright, I'll use my phone to see whoever called my cab." He uses call recognition and dials the number. My phone goes off and the pregnant woman now tries a new tactic: racism. She screams, "All of you Pakis," even though he's from East India, "are all the same. You'll believe anyone who gives you $1. Anyway, I scooted around the other side to get in behind the driver while he kept all of the other doors locked so she couldn't get in. She was furious and yelling the whole time, and my driver starts pulling out and says to me, "I would have happily taken her where she wanted to go with you, but at this point, I'm just going to tell everyone to avoid her." He took a picture to warn his fellow drivers about her racism and potentially threatening behavior, since by the end, she was threatening to break the windows, and I went the hell home. This one's just such a typical entitled parent move, and I guess with this person, they're a to-be entitled parent, I suppose, but you can't get your way, so you just resort to racism or assault or, anything that's illegal. I mean, it's sad to say, but her kid's not even born, and I already feel sorry for it, knowing that it's going to have to grow up with an entitled mum who's probably going to turn them just as entitled. One winter, I was taking the train home after a day of doing nothing at uni, mostly just gaming with my friends. I owned a pretty neat Allview X2 Soulstyle Plus for some time, and the thing held on for a long time. It was pattern locked, as I'm bad with words and numbers, but good with shapes. I was on my phone browsing Pinterest next to Entitled Mum and Entitled Kid, which was my first bad move, when the Entitled Kid comes and asks, more like demands, to let him play on my phone. Feeling like a smartass, I locked my phone and gave it to the Entitled Kid, which was bad move number 2. After about 2 minutes, the Entitled Kid tells the Entitled Mum that he can't unlock the phone, and being like any other Entitled Mum, she demands to unlock her child's phone. I say no and ask for my phone back, and she proceeds to smash it on the ground, being all smug about it. Now, it was an old phone. I wanted to replace it either way and backed up everything on an SD card and left it at home. Mostly, I just used it for the internet. I was quiet and just shrugged because I wanted revenge. So I didn't scream or anything. I just picked up the phone and removed the SIM card while the Entitled Mum and the Entitled Kid moved further away. At my stop, the train began to get crowded. I made my way to the exit, making sure that I passed the Entitled Mum and snatched her purse while she wasn't looking. The purse wasn't on her arm and it was on the seat beside her. She was still telling her kid about how much of an a-hole I was, making it easy for me to pick it up without her noticing. The original plan was to smack her head and move out quickly. It might sound stupid, but I've done it before and got away with it. I am easy to miss after all. I had my jacket on and many people had their hoods up, so it was easy to blend in. Before the train left, I knocked on the window next to Entitled Mum and held up her purse. The look she gave me was the most satisfying thing that I've ever seen. She tried to stop the train, but the emergency stop was either broken or non-existent. It was an old train, and the crowd made it impossible for her to move around. I moved to a place with no cameras around and searched through her purse and got close to €400. I also found a Samsung phone. I tossed the purse in a trash bin outside and went to McDonald's and got a Happy Meal, even though I have a full beard. You guys know I love a good, clean revenge story where, things aren't taken too far, but in my opinion at least, this story probably did take things just a little bit too far. I guess at the end of the day, anytime entitled parents get some revenge is nice, but there's definitely a right way and a wrong way, and I don't think this one quite fits into the right way. So for reference, I work at a parkour gym and oftentimes I work birthday parties. The parties are usually easy, watch the trampoline, make sure no one dies. That's about it. This birthday party though was the exception. For the birthday party, a customer can choose what they want to have at the party. For example, if they want bouncy castles or a parkour setup, or specifically for this one, a trampoline demo. So the party is going around, nothing bad, no one hurt, no flip fails, and everyone's having a good time. The mother of the kid was happy, but throughout the whole thing, she was a bit rude. She wanted specific songs and had us move equipment and stuff like that. Setups are usually cut and paste, but we're all teenagers who really didn't care to do a little extra work. End of the party comes around and we moved the kids over by the trampoline. It was me, co-worker who is CW1, and CW2 who were doing the demo for the end. We start off basic, do a front flip, maybe a front half. Then after a while, we amp it up. CW2 goes off doing back fulls and whatnot, touching the ceiling and doing well. Personally, I'm not the best at flipping. I put all my efforts into rail tech, vaults, and stuff like that instead. I also have a commitment issue. So basically, I know my limits and they are 3 flips. A front flip, a front full, which is a front flip with 360-degree turn, and a double front. However, CW1 and CW2 could do a back flip. I'd also broken my leg a while back and just never relearnt it. Midway through the demo, I do a flip and I'm walking off the mat, then the entitled mum comes up to me and says, "Why are you inexperienced?" And confused I said, "What do you mean?" She then goes on to say, "Everyone else was doing backflips and you didn't do one. I just want to know why you are staffed here and still inexperienced." I was in complete shock by this statement and replied with, "Well miss, I had," and then she cuts me off, looks me dead in the eyes and says, "I swear, if you don't do this flip, I will have you fired." I, however, did not do the flip as I was not confident that I could do it. I wasn't going to risk my safety for this woman. Nothing ever came of this afterwards, and really, this was just a woman who thought that she was in charge because she paid. I swear these entitled parents just get worse and worse. Like, it's one thing to be, entitled and act like you're better than somebody else who's around your own age. But picking on a worker who is a teenager at a kid's birthday party, trying to make him put his safety at risk just for your entertainment, that's a different kind of stupid. Alright everyone, that is that for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just going to take a second to plug a couple of my social medias, including our Discord server. I do have a Twitter and an Instagram if you want to follow me on both of those. They are both at Bumfris, and feel free to send me a message and I'll do my best to respond. I also just want to take a second to say thank you so much for all the love lately. All of the comments, the likes, the subscribers, just the fact that you guys tune in and watch my videos every day, it really does make my day. Every single one of you is the backbone of this channel and I really cannot express how much I appreciate that. Without you guys, this channel would be nothing, and I love making these videos for you guys and I love the fact that you enjoy them. So on that note, I will wrap things up for today's episode of Entitled Parents. I just want to take a second again to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Entitled Parents. Bye.